Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack your sources to bring you the most important nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're diving into a topic that really touches everyone at some point: fear and anxiety.
hmm
We've got some really great material here from the NHS and the Mental Health Foundation that should help us understand, well, why we feel these things and, most importantly, how to manage them.
That's right. And our mission for this deep dive really is to not only clarify the um, the differences between fear and anxiety because they can be subtle, but also to give you some practical, actionable strategies,
Yeah.
things you can actually use straight from these expert sources
Yeah.
to sort of regain control, whether it's a specific phobia or just those general day-to-day worries.
Okay, so let's unpack this first bit then. Fear and anxiety. People use them interchangeably all the time, don't they?
You really do.
But our sources, they draw some key distinctions. What are they saying is the main difference?
Well, yeah, they share feelings like dread and worry,
Yeah.
obviously. But the Mental Health Foundation material explains that fear is um, typically that powerful immediate emotion.
Right.
It triggers a physical response,
Yeah.
to help us react to immediate danger, like a car swerving towards you, that kind of thing.
Okay, the survival instinct kicking in.
Exactly. But, and this is interesting, it can also pop up in everyday situations that aren't life-threatening,
Yeah.
like before an exam or maybe a public speaking gig.
Yeah.
The real issue, as the sources point out, is when that fear reaction is just, well, way out of proportion to what's actually happening.
Right, got it. So if fear is that immediate punch, that reaction, what about anxiety then? Where does that fit in?
So anxiety, according to the Mental Health Foundation, is actually described as a type of fear.
That type of fear.
Yeah, it's more like an ongoing feeling,
Mm.
sense of dread or unease, maybe about something that might go wrong or, could happen in the future, or even worrying about something that happened in the past.
So less immediate threat, more future tripping or past ruminating.
Kind of, yeah. And what's really key here, often misunderstood, is how we interpret those physical feelings. That cognitive part can really lock us into anxiety.
Mm.
And when it sticks around, when it starts messing with your daily life, your sleep, concentration, social stuff, it can create this negative cycle. It just gets worse and really hits your overall mental health.
It's amazing how many different masks anxiety can wear, isn't it? It's not just one single feeling. Our sources break down some common types.
They do. And it's pretty common, actually, to experience symptoms from more than one type.
Right.
First up, there's generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD. And the fascinating thing about GAD, often missed, is that the worry itself almost becomes the problem.
I mean,
Like, the brain gets stuck in this habit of worrying excessively about lots of different things. The fears feel huge, uncontrollable, and that leads to problems sleeping, affects your mood, concentration, plus physical symptoms, too. It really impacts daily living.
wow, yeah. Like a constant background static of worry.
Hmm, pretty much.
And what about in social situations? That's a big one for lots of people.
Definitely. That brings us to social anxiety. This is an intense fear of social situations, often driven by this deep fear of being judged or watched.
Okay.
Symptoms can be things like actively avoiding social events, being terrified of public speaking, worrying excessively before you even go out, feeling like everyone's criticizing you, and physical stuff too, like trembling or sweating.
That sounds exhausting.
It really can be. Then there's health anxiety. That's when someone worries constantly, persistently about
Mm.
being ill or getting ill.
Right.
It can take over your life. You might find yourself frequently checking your body for signs of illness, always needing reassurance from doctors, maybe even feeling physical symptoms that just fuel the worry more.
And those really specific, intense fears like spiders or heights or flying.
Yes, those are phobias.
Yeah.
An extreme, often irrational fear of a specific animal, object, place, or situation. Phobias can seriously disrupt daily life. There's this overwhelming urge to avoid whatever triggers the fear, and even just thinking about it can ramp up the anxiety or even bring on a panic attack.
Okay, and you mentioned panic attacks there. What defines those?
Right, a panic attack, it's described as this sudden, overwhelming wave of intense physical and mental fear. Really intense.
Okay.
People might struggle to breathe, feel chest pains like a heart attack, feel like they're losing control or going crazy. It's really important, the sources stress, to see a doctor to rule out any underlying physical causes if you experience symptoms like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you wonder, though, why do our bodies react like this? Especially when there isn't, an actual lion chasing us. What's going on biologically?
That's a great question, and the NHS source gives us some good insight there. It explains that those physical and emotional feelings of fear are actually part of our our ancient survival kit. They're designed to keep us safe in genuinely dangerous situations. It's the famous fight-or-flight response.
Yeah.
Makes us hyper-alert, gets the body ready for action.
The saber-toothed tiger response system.
Yeah.
Very useful back then. But how does it go wrong? Why does that alarm bell ring so loudly now in, like, a crowded supermarket or an elevator?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the crux of it. For some people, that fight-or-flight system is just, well, it's oversensitive. It's trigger-happy.
Okay.
So you get these intense feelings of fear in situations that aren't actually dangerous, like taking the bus or being in a lift, as you said. But here's the really interesting bit, something both sources emphasize.
Yeah.
The best way to actually tackle this fear isn't to keep avoiding those situations. It's the opposite. It's to gradually, carefully expose yourself to them.
Right. That sounds counterintuitive, but it leads us into the strategies, doesn't it?
Precisely. It's the foundation for overcoming it.
So if avoiding the thing we fear just makes the fear bigger, like feeding a monster, how do we actually start facing it? The NHS has this structured 6-step approach.
It does. It's often called exposure therapy or gradual exposure. The whole idea is to gently face what you fear bit by bit so you feel more in control and basically teach your brain it's okay.
Okay, step 1.
Step 1 is think about your physical feelings and behaviors. When you're feeling calm, try to reflect. How does fear actually feel in your body? Panicked, hot, shaky? And what does it make you do? Get off the bus early. Avoid eye contact. Just noticing those patterns, kind of like an outside observer, even when it's uncomfortable, that awareness is the starting point.
Right. Becoming aware of your own reaction pattern. That sounds simple, but probably quite hard in practice. What's next?
It can be, yeah. Step 2 is to change the way you see fear. This is crucial. Recognize those intense feelings for what they are. Just your body's fight or flight response doing its thing.
Okay.
Even if it feels awful, understand it's just your body trying to protect you, even if it's misfiring in a safe situation. Shifting that perspective can make a huge difference in managing the intensity.
So it's not dangerous, it's just uncomfortable because my alarm system's a bit too loud right now.
Exactly. Then, step 3, break down and rate fearful situations. Make a list of all the situations related to your fear. Then rate how difficult each one feels, say from 0, no problem, to 100, maximum fear.
Like a fear ladder.
Precisely. So maybe taking the bus for 2 stops with a friend is a 10, but taking it alone during rush hour is, I don't know, a 70. Order them from easiest to hardest.
Okay, that makes sense. It breaks down a huge, scary thing into smaller steps. So once you have your ladder...
Step 4. Start with the easiest. Pick the lowest-scoring situation on your list, and then you put yourself in it.
Okay.
The key goal here is to stay in that situation until your fear level drops by about half. So if you started at a 10, you stay until you feel like a 5. You'll actually notice, with repeated practice, the fear starts to lessen.
Okay, so stick with the discomfort until it naturally subsides a bit. That leads into the next step, I imagine.
It does. Step 5. Allow yourself to feel the fear. This is tough, but important. When you're doing your exposure practice, try not to distract yourself with your phone or music or constantly seeking reassurance.
Why not? Wouldn't that make it easier?
It might feel easier in the moment, but the goal is to prove to yourself that you can handle the feelings without needing to escape or numb them. It shows your brain that the feeling itself isn't harmful. It definitely gets easier over time.
Right. Leaning into it, not running away mentally. Okay, what's the final step in this NHS plan?
The final step, number 6, is to work your way up, but don't rush. Once your fear has consistently halved for that first easy situation, then you move to the next slightly harder one on your list.
Okay.
It's a gradual process. It takes time, especially for the really difficult items. Be patient with yourself. Every single step, however small it feels, is genuine progress towards reducing anxiety and getting back in control.
That gradual exposure sounds like a really powerful, structured approach. But beyond that specific technique, the Mental Health Foundation offers a wider range of sort of daily management tools, right?
Absolutely. It's like a broader toolkit for building resilience and finding coping strategies that work for you day to day.
What are some key ones?
Well, 2 foundational ones are, first, understand what you're feeling and why. Really pay attention. Try to name the emotion. Am I scared? Concerned? Just nervous? And pinpoint triggers. Where was I? Who was there? What happened?
Right. Detective work on your own feelings.
Exactly. That helps you challenge those automatic negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And second, manage your anxiety in the moment. Have some quick tools ready, like 1-minute mindfulness, just focus on your breath or sensations in your body.
Grounding yourself.
Yeah. Or keep a list of helpful self-affirmations handy. Things like, okay, I feel scared right now, but this feeling will pass, or this anxiety doesn't define me.
I like that. So self-awareness and immediate coping tools.
Huh.
What about actually doing things, taking those small steps outside of the formal exposure ladder?
Yes, that's crucial too. The advice is to face your fear if you can, using small goals. Test out your fears in tiny, manageable ways. Like, if social anxiety is the issue, maybe the goal is just to smile at one stranger today.
Okay.
Then maybe tomorrow say hello to the cashier. Then maybe ask someone a simple question. After each little experiment, notice what actually happened versus what you feared would happen.
Celebrating the small wins.
Definitely. And crucially, talk to someone you trust. A friend, family member. Fear and anxiety feel isolating, but they're normal human emotions. Sharing the load can make a massive difference. If you're nervous, maybe just jot down what you want to say beforehand.
That's really good advice. Connection is so important. And what about the physical side of things? Exercise, diet.
Hugely important,
Mm.
according to the sources. Physical activity is a big one. Even short bursts help. A quick 10-minute walk, some gentle stretching.
Mm-hmm.
Exercise releases those feel-good chemicals, endorphins, and it's also a great distraction from worried thought.
Gets you out of your head.
Exactly. And alongside activity, find ways to relax. We often don't prioritize downtime. Recognize when you need it. Relaxation looks different for everyone. It could be a bath, reading, deep breathing exercises, maybe mindfulness meditation, whatever works for you.
Yeah, finding your personal off switch.
And don't forget healthy eating. Your diet really can affect anxiety levels. Too much caffeine can make you jittery and nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And sugary foods can cause energy crashes that trigger anxiety. Eating regular meals helps keep your blood sugar stable, which is important.
Right, avoiding those peaks and troughs. Makes sense. What about things like alcohol? People sometimes use it to cope.
Yeah, the sources address that directly. They advise avoiding alcohol, or at least drinking in moderation. It might feel like it helps temporarily, that Dutch courage idea, but
Yeah.
alcohol is a depressant.
Right.
As it wears off, it can actually make anxiety and fear worse. That's where the term anxiety comes from. It's a real rebound effect.
Okay, so short-term gain, long-term pain, potentially.
Pretty much. And finally, for people who have a faith or spirituality can be a real source of strength. Engaging with a faith community, places of worship that can provide connection, support, and help in coping with everyday stress.
So a really holistic set of tools there covering mind, body, connection. It's clear these self-help strategies are powerful. But sometimes anxiety or fear can be really overwhelming, really impacting life significantly. What about when self-help isn't quite enough? Professional support is key then, right?
Absolutely critical. The Mental Health Foundation really emphasizes this. If fear or anxiety is stopping you from living your life the way you want to, reaching out for professional help is often the best next step.
What does that typically look like?
Well, one major route is anxiety therapy. Talking therapies are very effective. Your GP might recommend something like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which is very common and evidence-based, or mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, psychodynamic therapy.
Yeah.
There are different approaches. There's even computerized CBT or CCBT, and in some places like England with NHS talking therapies, you can actually self-refer. You don't always need to go through your GP first.
It's good to know. It makes it more accessible. Are medications ever part of the picture?
They can be, yes.
Yeah.
Doctors might discuss anxiety medications, often antidepressants like SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
Right.
The important thing to understand, though, is that medication typically treats the symptoms rather than the root cause. They're often most effective when used alongside therapy, not just on their own.
Okay, so part of a combined approach, potentially.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
And another great resource is anxiety support groups. These can be local, in-person groups where you meet others going through similar things, sharing stories, swapping tips, getting encouragement. It can be incredibly validating and helpful. And there are online forums, too, from organizations like Mind or Rethink Mental Illness, which offer that peer support remotely.
So lots of avenues for support if you need it.
Definitely. You don't have to go alone.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive. It really highlights that while fear and anxiety are, just part of being human, we aren't powerless. There are so many tools, both things we can do ourselves and professional help available to navigate these feelings.
Absolutely. By
Yeah.
understanding the difference between fear and anxiety, recognizing that fight or flight response for what it is, and then actually using these strategies like the gradual exposure, the mindfulness, the lifestyle adjustments, you really can take concrete steps towards feeling less anxious and more in control.
So for you listening, maybe a final thought to take away from this. Think about those small acts of courage. facing those little fears day by day. How might doing that not only change your experience, but maybe, just maybe, subtly inspire someone around you to face their own avoidance too, creating that little ripple effect of resilience?